Hi everyone. Thank you for visiting my channel. I am the Queen of Sheba and this is Bible Q&A. In this edition of Bible Q&A, the question is, what does the Bible really say about tithing? Okay. We are in an interesting time and I want to cover so many different subjects, but today we're going to start with this one. So what does the Bible really say about tithing? Let's see. So what are tithes? That's what we have to first explore. What are tithes that everyone has been paying all this time? Okay. All right, so we're going to start now in the book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 20. It says, Numbers chapter 18, verse 20. It says, And the Lord spake unto Aaron, Thou shalt have no inheritance in their land, neither shalt thou have any part among them. I am thy part and thine inheritance among the children of Israel. Numbers chapter 18, verse 21 says, And behold, I have given the children of Levi all the tenth in Israel for an inheritance, for their service which they serve, even the service of the tabernacle of the congregation. Okay, so during the first Exodus, when the children of Levi, it was announced that they didn't have any inheritance like the rest of the children of Israel. So they were to take a tenth of the children of Israel's increase, and it was to be for the Levites because they had no inheritance or no part of everything like the rest of the tribes did. Okay. So, and they got this for the work that they did in the tabernacle because they were in charge of handling the tabernacle and the sacrifices and all that. I don't know if you know anything about that, but at this point, hopefully you do. If not, we'll eventually explore it. But again, the Levites were the ones to do the work for the tabernacle, for the sacrifices and everything, the work of God. Okay. The book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 22 says, Neither must the children of Israel henceforth come nigh the tabernacle of the congregation, lest they bear sin and die. Verse 23, But the Levites shall do the service of the tabernacle of the congregation, and they shall bear their iniquity. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations, that among the children of Israel they have no inheritance. Okay. Verse 24 says, But the tithes of the children of Israel, which they offer as an heave offering unto the Lord, I have given to the Levites to inherit. Therefore I have said unto them, Among the children of Israel they shall have no inheritance. All right. So again, they were not to have any inheritance as the children of Israel do, but since they were the ones doing the work for the tabernacle, they were given tithes or 10% of the children of Israel's offering. Okay. As an inheritance, because they didn't have none. They still had to eat. They still had to do all the things they needed to do. They just, they were special. They were doing the work of God. So they were to be taken care of. All right. So you need to also remember that they were not able, no one was able to go into the tabernacle except for the Levites. Okay. So they were special and they had to be taken care of. 10% or tithes went to them. Okay. And Aaron, Moses, and Aaron's sons, they were the Levites. Okay. So this makes sense. Aaron and all them were the Levites. Okay. There were other ones too. I'll talk about that at another time. Okay. I'm just trying to break it down to you nice and simple. I want you to follow me. Okay. So again, that's what that was all about. They didn't have an inheritance, so they were given tithes. 10% of the offering goes to them so they could eat and do whatever. Because remember, that is the basis of life, is eating. If you ain't got no food, you're in trouble, right? Because coronavirus stuff shows you that, right? All right. So the book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 24, I believe, just mentioned something about a heave offering. So let's explore, what is a heave offering? Okay. What's a heave offering? Let's see. These next scriptures is going to let us know. The book of Leviticus, chapter 7, verse 14 says, And of it he shall offer one out of the whole oblation
for an heave offering unto the Lord, and it shall be the priest that sprinkleth the blood of the peace offerings. Leviticus chapter 7, verse 32 says, and the right shoulder shall ye give unto the priest for an heave offering of the sacrifices of your peace offerings. Okay, Exodus chapter 29, verse 27 says, and thou shalt sanctify the breast of the wave offering and the shoulder of the heave offering, which is waved and which is heaved up, of the ram of the consecration, even of that which is for Aaron, and of that which is for his sons. Okay. Exodus chapter 29, verse 28 says, and it shall be Aaron's and his sons by a statute forever, and for the children of Israel, for it is an heave offering, and it shall be an heave offering from the children of Israel of the sacrifice of their peace offerings, even their heave offerings unto the Lord.
So basically, these scriptures are showing you that an heave offering is a type of sacrifice of an animal, right? So the type of sacrifice of an animal, like a type of meat offering. Okay, it's like ancient stuff. So that's what they used to do. I don't know if you know anything about that, but they used to do sacrifices and all that, and it's very much a part of the Bible. Even though I know a lot of pastors said don't go into the Old Testament, there's absolutely a reason why they said that. It's some stuff that people don't want you to know. So we're going to explore all that. We're all about the truth in 2020, right? We want full disclosure. And that's what we're going to get. That's what you're going to get. Full disclosure. You're about to see some stuff that's going to blow your mind away. I promise you that. That much I know. So let's keep it moving.
The book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 25 says, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, verse 26, thus speak unto the Levites, and say unto them, when ye take of the children of Israel the tithes which I have given you from them for your inheritance, then ye shall offer up an heave offering of it for the Lord, even a 10th part of the tithe.
So here again, they're saying that the tithes go to the Levites, and they're supposed to offer up a heave offering, which is a 10th of the tithes that they are to receive. Okay, so they, even though the rest of the children of Israel had to offer up their tithes or give up a 10th, they had to give up a 10th of their 10th of tithes. Okay.
The book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 27 says, and this your heave offering shall be reckoned unto you as though it were the corn of the threshing floor, and as the fullness of the winepress.
So are you following me so far? Okay, we're still on what are tithes. Okay, you following me? Let's keep it moving.
So the book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 28 says, thus ye also shall offer an heave offering unto the Lord of all your tithes, which ye receive of the children of Israel. And ye shall give thereof the Lord's heave offering to Aaron the priest. Verse 29 says, out of all your gifts ye shall offer every heave offering of the Lord, of all the best thereof, even the hollow part thereof out of it. Numbers 18, verse 30 says, therefore thou shalt say unto them, when ye have heaved the best thereof from it, then it shall be counted unto the Levites as the increase of the threshing floor and as the increase of the winepress.
All right, so again, the Levites were supposed to give up a 10th of their tithes that they were given from the rest of the children of Israel. So in other words, they were given a 10th, and the 10th of their 10th they were supposed to give up as an offering. Okay.
The Numbers 18, verse 31 says, and ye shall eat it in every place, ye and your households, for it is your reward for the service in the tabernacle of the congregation. Verse 32 says, and ye shall bear no sin by reason of it, when ye have heaved from it the best of it, neither shall ye pollute the holy things of the children of Israel, lest ye die.
Okay, so pretty much in verse 31 and 32, they could eat their offering or their tithes wherever they wanted to, because it was their reward for the service of the tabernacle. Okay, so they could eat it wherever they choose. Okay, not the same for the rest of them, not the same for the children of Israel. Okay, the rest of them, but the Levites themselves, because of the work that they do, they could eat. They could eat their tithes anywhere. Okay, but again, our focus is on what are tithes right now. Okay, so I hope by now you're starting to get the idea that these tithes have something to do with food, but it gets even better. Just stay tuned. Stay with me.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 14, verse 22 says, Thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed, that the field bringeth forth year by year.
Again, so as you see, the tithe of the increase of your seed in the field, that is absolutely food. You understand? It's absolutely food. Remember that people used to be more self-sufficient or self-reliant. They didn't depend on society or the government to prepare meals or to process food for them. They grew food and stuff on their own land. Okay, so absolutely. The tithe, your increase of the field, or your seed of the field, that is absolutely food. Tithe and food is related. Okay, they haven't said anything about money yet. They will mention something about money. We're going to get there though. Stay with me and hit the subscribe button if you haven't hit it so far. Haven't hit it thus far. Go on and hit that button for me.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 14, verse 23 says, And thou shalt eat before the Lord thy God in thy place which he shall choose to place his name there, the tithe of the corn, of thy wine, and of thine oil, and the firstlings of thy herds and of thy flocks, that thou mayest learn to fear the Lord thy God always. Verse 24 says, And if the way be too long for thee, so that thou art not able to carry it, or if the place be too far from thee, which the Lord thy God shall choose to set his name there, when the Lord thy God hath blessed thee. Verse 25 says, Then thou shalt turn it into money, and bind up the money in thine hand, and shall go unto the place which the Lord thy God shall choose.
All right. So with these scriptures, I'm not worried about going over everything. The bottom line and the point of this, again, is about tithes. So I wanted to point out that tithes is food. Again, tithes is food. All right. It says the tithe of the corn, the wine, the oil, and the herd, the animals. Okay. The only way to turn it into money is if you couldn't carry it too far. The place might have been too far away. Okay. Because I need you to notice that there was only one place that this would be happening. All right. This would be only one place that the sacrifices or all that would have been happening. It wouldn't have been happening just anywhere. As a matter of fact, it's a story in there. I think it had to do with Saul or Samuel. Okay. It had to do with Samuel and Saul, as a matter of fact, where Saul got impatient because it was times like these, okay, when I ain't trying to go into that right now. I want to stay focused on this because there is a lot going on, and it has to do with rulership. But back to what I'm saying is that where Saul, he wanted to do a sacrifice somewhere else because he wasn't getting impatient and this and that, and he damned himself. Okay, the sacrifices were supposed to happen in a certain spot, and had he waited just a little longer, Samuel, because he was waiting on Samuel and he wanted to do sacrifice to forgive the sins and everything. And from my memory of the story, he went on and didn't wait. He was being impatient and did a sacrifice somewhere else, and Samuel had came like right after he did it. So had he just been patient and waited, everything would have been okay. But that led to a sequence of events that didn't turn out too well for Saul, which also, as you know, was a good thing for David, King David. We love King David. So anyway, keep that in mind. Okay, at this point, you should understand that tithes is food. Okay, only time it turned into money was if it was the place where they were doing all of that was too far away. That way you would go ahead on with the money carried to that location, right? Because you got to have a way of buying it when you get there, and then you would buy what you choose, right? Whatever they said wine. They even said strong drink. So, that's some hard liquor and stuff like that, right? They talked about the meat, all of that. You could have buy that wherever the spot was at, because you weren't about to carry this far. You got to kind of think logically, like back in the day, how things was rolling. You weren't about to be doing too much of that. Okay. All right.
Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 26 says, And thou shalt bestow the money for whatsoever thy soul lusteth after, for oxen, or for sheep, or for wine, or for strong drink, or for whatsoever thy soul desireth. And thou shalt eat there before the Lord thy God, and thou shalt rejoice, thou and thine household. Verse 27 says, And the Levite that is within thy gates, thou shalt not forsake him, for he hath no part nor inheritance with thee. Okay. And lastly, Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 17 on this slide says, Thou mayest not eat within thy gate the tithe of thy corn or of thy wine, or of thy oil, or the firstlings of thy herds, or of thy flock, nor any of thy vows which thou vowest, nor thy free will offerings or heave offerings of thy hand.
All right. So please remember, you couldn't do this just anywhere. Okay. The place had to be specific for the children of Israel. Okay. Not to say it was the same for the Levites, because they were different. They were special. I'm not saying the children of Israel wasn't either, but I'm just telling you that the Levites you could tell by the way they're describing them and saying certain things about them, that they were different. They did the service. They were a little exempt. They had more to do. Okay. They had to worry about the spiritual stuff. Whereas everybody else is just doing their own thing, just like now, right? You got certain people that worry about spiritual things, and everybody else is just whatever. But that is about to change. We're all going to be on spiritual stuff. Okay. But anyways, so it had to be done in a certain spot. And when it pertained to the money, when it comes to dealing with money, you would change that. You would go ahead on, and the value of the tithes would be transferred over into money, to where you get to the next location, you could actually purchase or buy the tithes and eat them and do whatever you're supposed to do with them in that location, whether it's give the part of it away, whatever. Okay. According to what we've already said, though, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not going too far in, because when I teach, sometimes I go really far in. I'm just trying to make sure I don't lose you. We do understand that what tithes are, because that is our basis, our point of this. Tithes is food. Okay. We only turn it into money when it's too far. The location of where everything is going to be done at is too far away. And that's when we turn it into money. And then when we get back to that location, we turn it back into food. Okay. It was never just money.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 18 says, But thou must eat them before the Lord thy God in the place which the Lord thy God shall choose, thou and thy son and thy daughter and thy manservant and thy maidservant and the Levite that is within thy gates, and thou shalt rejoice before the Lord thy God in all that thou puttest thy hands into. Okay. Deuteronomy chapter 26, verse 11 says, And thou shalt rejoice in every good thing which the Lord thy God hath given unto thee and unto thy house, thou and the Levite and the stranger that is among you. Okay. Leviticus chapter 27, verse 30 says, And all the tithe of the land, whether of the seed of the land or of the fruit of the tree, is the Lord's. It is holy unto the Lord.
All right. So I want you to look at the last scripture. Okay. And it says the tithe of the land, whether it be the fruit of the tree or the seed of the land. Okay. So that absolutely, again, is telling the tithes is food, period. There's nothing else to it. Tithes is food. Okay. It's something that you're consuming. It's not money. Money was only to do the trade-off. You get what I'm saying? So, because money is a means of bargaining. and trading, right? So that was just a trade-off. I can't bring it this far, carry all this stuff, so I'm gonna take the money that's the same value of that, and over here I'm gonna go ahead on and take care of that. Okay, it's nothing but food, because that is important. When it's just like right now, what's going on, you cannot eat money. Money has no value if there's no food, right? You can't, what I'm trying to say is, you can't eat money, right? Money does not sustain life. It is food and water that sustains the life. Okay, and of course you need some shelter as well, right, to keep a roof over your head. Okay, so anyway, I hope that by now you get the point. I'm going to point out a couple of more though, just to make it clear. So again, especially because we are just right now in the Old Testament, and some of you are skeptical. Oh no, that's only because you're unlearned. That's okay. And that's okay. If we don't know something, that's okay. Even the best teachers are good students. So I'm even still in the process of remembering things, becoming aware of things that I already know, some things that, I don't remember or whatever. That's another story. All right. That's something else. Anyways. All right.
Leviticus chapter 27, verse 31 says, and if a man will at all redeem out of his tithes, he shall add thereto the fifth part thereof. Leviticus chapter 27, verse 32 says, and concerning the tithe of the herd or of the flock, even of whatsoever passeth under the rod, the tenth shall be holy unto the Lord. Leviticus chapter 27, verse 33 says, he shall not search whether it be good or bad, neither shall he change it. And if he change it at all, then both it and the change thereof shall be holy. It shall not be redeemed.
Again, I'm just pointing out these scriptures. What are they talking about? Tithes and food. That's what you hear. That's what you see. Tithes and food. Tithes, food. That's what they are, right? Okay.
New Testament. The book of Matthew chapter 23, verse 23 says, woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye pay tithe of mint and anise, and come in and have omitted the weightier matters of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith. These ought ye to have done, and not to leave the other undone. The book of Luke chapter 18, verse 12 says, I fast twice in the week. I give tithes of all that I possess.
All right. So New Testament, right? Because that's what some people like. I'm only in the New Testament. So New Testament, Matthew chapter 23, verse 23, it says, pay tithe of mint, anise. I think I'm pronouncing it right. Mint, anise, and cumin. Okay. That is food, right? So that's specifically in red, tithe, food. Specifically, they mention herbs. Okay. Herbs are very important for our overall well-being. You have people like Dr. Seppi, Seppi. I always say Seppi, like Giuseppe's. Anyway, you got all these people talking about eating well. Even your favorite celebrities even talked about eating better, eating well. That's very important. Another time we'll talk about, all of that. We'll talk about eating better and light and all these good things that I'm finally made it here to talk to you about. Okay. Because you got to know, either you're going to evolve or you're going to die, period. Okay. So let's keep it moving. I got you. Let's keep it moving.
The book of Hebrews chapter 7, verse 5. And verily they that are of the sons of Levi, who receive the office of the priesthood, have a commandment to take tithes of the people according to the law, that is, of their brethren, though they come out of the loins of Abraham.
So the last one in Hebrews was just to show you another scripture from the New Testament that is showing Levi's relation of Levi's and them taking the tithes. Okay, that's all for that one. But so this next thing is about alms. So just to sum it up, tithes has to do with the Levites. They had no inheritance like the rest of them like the rest of the children of Israel. They were supposed to be doing the work of the tabernacle, or they belonged to God. They belonged to the Lord, as they say. Okay. So they were supposed to receive tithes because that was their job. Their job was to do the Lord's work. Okay. And deal with the sacrifices and all of that stuff that was more of physical in nature. We're moving more into spiritual in nature, but things at that time were more physical in nature. And they actually had communication. They actually had communication with the spiritual realm. Okay. The high priest did back then. All right. So that's what tithes were for. They were food for them. Okay. Food for the tabernacle, food for them. Okay, has to do with the sacrifices. Had nothing to do with no one else. Anyone else talking about they supposed to get tithes is a lie. Okay, your pastors, all of them, because they are not Levites. Okay, and if they were supposed to get it, it was supposed to be food. It was not supposed to be money. All right, and because remember, you couldn't sacrifice just anywhere. You couldn't do all that just anywhere. It was at one location. All right. That's why you transferred it over to money. Now, to alms. Maybe you wanted to give alms. Okay? Maybe. That's different. So how can I help people other than Levites? Alms. All right? By alms, by definition, it's money. By the definition of the dictionary, it's money or food given to poor people or people that are in need. Okay? So, here's a couple of scriptures that talk about alms. Okay?
Matthew chapter 6, verse 1 says, Take heed that ye do not your alms before men to be seen of them, otherwise ye have no reward of your Father which is in heaven. Verse 2, Therefore when thou doest thine alms, do not sound a trumpet before thee, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may have glory of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. Verse 3 says, But when thou doest alms, let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth. And verse 4 says, That thy alms may be in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret himself shall reward thee openly.
Okay. So when you are helping someone, okay, helping people, even your regular everyday pastors, okay, or preachers, helping someone, okay, helping people, even your regular everyday pastors, okay, or preachers, you're supposed to be doing alms, okay? Just giving to them as you can. You didn't have to give them a specific 10% because they're not doing, first of all, they're not the Levites and they're not doing exactly as it's supposed to be done, okay? The way that it was written out under Mosaic law, as they call it, okay? So, if you were to say you like, you know what, I'm rebellious and I want to do it my way. The pastor, I love him. Ooh, 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 he's so rich and I worship him like he's God. That's how you feel. Then were you giving him food? Were you giving him money for his new jet, or were you giving him food? Because that is how it was written out in the word, was that it was supposed to be food, right? So listen, were you giving him a tenth of food? See, because usually you go to church in your area, like not too far from your house. So it was not too far to bring that food. You understand? It wasn't too far to bring that food. It wasn't like y'all was taking a journey from Jordan to Egypt or something like that, and I don't even know the distance of that right now, but I'm just saying, you weren't going far. So were you giving him food, or were you just going what he said and giving him money because he was already protected under a 501c3, right? Which is what? Nonprofit, right? But they have rules for those nonprofits. You got to research and look. This is the time of knowledge. Fortunately and unfortunately, being ignorant is not working anymore. Just letting everything just happen the way it happens, that's not working anymore. You have to be informed. You have to know, because truly there's someone that's trying to keep power, and in to keep power, they got to exterminate you. You understand what I'm telling you? I hope you do. They want to keep their power, so they're trying to exterminate you. They're trying to keep you low vibe, all of that. It's a lot that some of you watching this right now absolutely know. There's a lot that some of you watching this don't know, but we're going to all get this information together. You understand? So again, alms is what it is. You want to help someone, a preacher or anyone, someone that's a man of God, man or woman of God, you want to give alms. Okay? They're not the high priest. Okay. All right. So, but you're gonna learn. Don't worry. Don't feel bad. See, I'll be pausing because I want to tell y'all so much, but I'm just trying to break it down little by little by little so you can understand. Like when you in school, you in grade school, whatever, they don't just throw it all at you in one time because it's too much to take in. So they give it to you little by little by little, and that is good for your knowledge, for your growth or your way of learning, to learn little by little by little, not just too much all at one time. It will drive you nuts. Okay, trust me, I know.
The book of Acts, chapter 10, verse 2, a devout man and one that feared God with all his house, which gave much alms to the people and prayed to God always. Acts chapter 24, verse 17, it says, now after many years I came to bring alms to my nation and offerings. The book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8 says, will a man rob God? Yet ye have robbed me. But ye say, wherein have we robbed thee? In tithes and offerings. All right. Now you know what that is. Malachi chapter 3, verse 10 says, it says, bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house. And prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it.
All right. So now you understand, because this is the favorite one that over years when I've learned about this, they always come with the Malachi chapter 3, verse 8 about robbing God for tithes and offerings. But if you didn't understand, had I not read or went over the Old Testament, then you wouldn't have understood what tithes and offerings actually are. So now in the proper context, you can understand this scripture when they say that ye rob God of tithes and offerings. Okay, offerings have to do with this offerings and the sacrifices, right? And we know that tithes is food that go to the Levites. Okay, if you're not doing that, you don't have to worry about it. Okay, so in verse 10, just re-emphasizing what I'm saying about it being food. Malachi chapter 3, verse 10, as it talks about tithes being in the storehouse, talking about so there may be meat, right? Meat storehouse, meat storehouse, food. All right. So if somebody talk about tithes, now you know it's all about the food. Please like, share, comment. Okay, this here is more about you than it is me. Understand we are in some different times and it's a lot going on. You want to subscribe, make sure you stay on top of the videos. Stay tuned for the second Exodus. You understand? Stay tuned for the second Exodus. You want to subscribe. You have a wonderful day. Stay positive. With positivity comes positive outcomes. Okay, so if you stay positive, positive outcomes may manifest. All right, so don't let this virus stuff all stress you out. We knew eventually days like this were going to come. Okay, we weren't going to be living like this forever, right? We weren't going to be able, darkness wasn't going to be able to rule forever. All right, but in order to get to the light, you got to go through the darkness. All right, I love you all. Have a blessed one.